Hi, it's the eighth day of war that Russia launched against Ukraine, and there are some updates to this date. So, the key event are the negotiations that now take place in Belarus between Russia and Ukraine. And these negotiations happened with a very extreme background. There are still severe fightings in Kherson, Mariupol, Energodar, Chernihiv. These are the cities that are under Russian attack. Chernihiv today was heavily shelled, 22 people died. Mariupol is encircled with Russian forces, and we lost connection with the city. Mariupol is the city I spent 2 years of my life. It's not a foreign place to me. I have a lot of beloved people there, and I pray for them. Energodar, it's the city where Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is located. This is the biggest nuclear power plant in Europe with 6 nuclear blocks in operation. It is under seizure now. Russians tried to capture it and actually launch heavier fighting in a city with nuclear power stations. Just unimaginable. So this is the background for the negotiations. I'm not talking about just very Russian traditional uh, way of making negotiations when they invited our delegation at hostile territory to Belarus. Belarus is also the site of the conflict. Belarus is active participant of this war. They provide their military infrastructure for Russian invaders. And I can imagine enormous pressure that members of our delegation experience there at that walls. It is just enormous. But Ukraine uses every opportunity just to make situation easier, because what we want to negotiate is organization of humanitarian corridors from Mariupol and Kherson, because situation there is just insane. There is no electricity, no internet, no water supplies, no food supplies, nothing. So I would like also to tell you about the possible provocations that Russians use. It's their tactics. I witnessed these tactics in 2015 and 2014 during a previous phase of hot war of Russia against Ukraine. So Russian law enforcement agencies made a lot of investigation groups whom they sent to the occupied territories of Ukraine in Donetsk and Lugansk in order to investigate and record facts of genocide. Remember, Putin justified this war by protection of Russian-speaking people from genocide. The thing is that there is no genocide, and if there is no genocide, Putin would find it, and if he doesn't find genocide, he will commit genocide. That's how Russian way of thinking works. So those Russian official investigation teams were sent to find facts of genocide, which they haven't found yet. And parallel to this, Russian side says that, not Ukraine will organize this humanitarian corridor from Mariupol. We will do it. We will take people, Ukrainians, from Ukrainian territory to Russia, to occupied territories. We'll make a corridor for them, and we'll deport some more people to Russia. And I'm afraid that if this happens and if their corridors will work, they will just make provocation and kill those people and say that it was done by Ukrainians. Again, I'm talking, they were doing this all the time in 2015 and 2014. I remember how they promised to our army that there will be a humanitarian corridor in Debaltseve in 2014 in order to took our troops away. And it didn't happen. I mean, they broke their promise. Our troops drove out, and they were just shelled and shot from all the sides by Russians who just broke their promise, broke their word. That's the way they work. That's the way we operate, and that's what we should know about Russian side. Uh, Despite of that, we stand, we fight. Ukrainian army fights like tiger and tackles aggression of an army of a nuclear power for the eighth day already. I cannot call it with other word as miracle. It is miracle. It is miracle. And the last thing which we expect actually from the West and from the other countries is, any attempts to like stop war now. French president screams, "Stop it! Stop the war now!" Michael Markful tweets all the time, if Russia stops the war, all the sanctions would be lifted. Everything will go back. Unfortunately, guys, this is absolutely unacceptable for Ukraine. The war will stop in on what terms? Do you want to stop the war with Russian troops 10 kilometers from Kiev? Are you sure? Well, we don't want this. Sorry, we just cannot afford it. Uh, in 2015, we were forced to sign Minsk Agreement, and that was actually an attempt to freeze the conflict that eventually led to the new, far more severe and bloody conflict. So this position that let's stop the war by any price, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Ukraine, we want Russian troops not to stop fighting. We want them to stop fighting and get the fuck out from Ukraine. We want them to leave. We want to leave them from Crimea, from Donetsk. It's not their land, and that's what they should do. And if you want to help us, you must stand on our position. We want them all out. We've been fighting with Vladimir Putin like crazy. You just cannot tell us that that we are losing our lives just for nothing, that just stop and everything will be fine because we're afraid that we'll be next. Well, guys, now we're on the same boat. From the date when Vladimir Putin announced that he put his nukes on high alert, we're at the same board, and you should think of decisions you should make, including military decisions, in order to help the situation. Thank you very much. Stand with Ukraine.